Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fumbling Gurus, a podcast that covers the NFL. And now, your hosts, Tom, John, and Gannon.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah, it wasn't a great week for our teams. Um, Bucks are the only ones who won. I'm not even happy saying that this week, but it's a true statement. Um, yeah, not great weeks. I guess we'll kick off with our teams, and then we'll jump into some of the highlights heading out of the week. We had some announcements this week. We have some surprising finishes to games. So we'll jump into all of that. Um, I'll kick it off with the Bucks this week. Talked about it last week. We were playing Arizona. They had a rookie first game he started. First game I think he's played in quarterback. Yeah, he played in one.
He, he's played in a couple. He was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens
Hmm.
originally.
Yeah, so it it didn't bode well. Seeing a couple weeks prior, we had lost to kind of the same thing in was it San Francisco with Brock Purdy coming out. Um, Arizona looked like it was shaping up the same way. We couldn't get anything going. Couldn't. I think we had one touchdown in the game. Everything else was field goals. And then everything came in like the last 10 minutes of the game, which seems to be the Bucks MO this year. We just wait until there's nothing else to do but try and win the game. See, I don't know where we go from here because Brady still doesn't look good. He had multiple interceptions in the game. He was not hitting receivers. Like there was some open passes for touchdowns, for just normal first down plays, stuff like that. He was just missing straight up. Um, so I don't know if it's connection between the two of receivers aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, or he thinks they're doing something else, or he's just missing his marks. I don't know, but it still doesn't look pretty. Um, and then on top of it, Fournette had a tweet earlier today, I believe it was, and then he deleted it like almost immediately. But basically saying that he's been playing with a Liz Frank injury for last couple weeks, which has a couple things to it because we haven't been listing him on the injury report. So if he's injured, we should be putting that out there. And then two, I don't know. I don't. What do you? Why would you announce that? Right? He's getting haters. I think that's the main thing he wants to put out there. Like I'm not 100%. I'm still doing this kind of thing. Um, but I don't know. It just points to more of the head coach, the structure, the organization just being a mess on the inside. Um, Either way, we went into overtime. We did pull off the win. We are still top of the division, but barely. We're going to have to. I think the main critical one, we were doing the math before the podcast, is going to be Panthers. That's the team that we cannot lose to. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Bucks, but they did win. We can jump into. I don't know if John is ready yet to talk about his Dolphins, so maybe we'll go to the Eagles first. They had a tough division game. They did not have their quarterback. We're missing a couple key pieces. Uh, I mean, Minshew played pretty well. What was your coming out of that, Dan, and how did you feel about the game?
So to start the game, that pick by Dak was insane. Like there's nobody around him, and he just throws basically to one of the Eagles players. I forget who it was, but that watching the game, I'm like, oh, this is how it's gonna go. All right, I'm in for a treat. Here we go, Christmas Eve game. Like this is what I need. And then it started playing out as a shootout. And come halftime, Eagles up by a few points. And then Dak started just running away with it. CeeDee Lamb, Eagles couldn't stop CeeDee Lamb. And yeah, man, like at halftime, Dallas was a completely different team. I felt like Gardner Minshew did really well, except for his two picks, costly picks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think Dallas had any picks, and if they did, I think he had one interception. But either way, Dallas had the better game, and Gardner Minshew against a division rival didn't play too bad, but me being an Eagle fan, had Jalen Hurts played, he probably would have won. Glad they sat him, but still a little salty that Dallas got the win there on Christmas Eve because I was looking forward to that game. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's all fun. We got two games left. Eagles can clinch that number one seed. It was no pressure, really. Like it didn't help the Cowboys winning any, didn't help the Eagles losing. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Here's your really good team you're playing away, I understand, but you're still a good team, high powered offense. Your defense gave up 40. Is that at all concerning to you?
Yes. Very concerning to me. I think that letting CD Lamb run all over us like that and like not making the adjustments that we needed to make was kind of costly, and especially so close to playoffs.
Yeah, that I think we're all you mentioned that like it was like the first play for Dallas where Dak just straight up threw it to the Eagles player who picked six, ran it into a touchdown. And I think that was going through everyone's mind of, oh, this is how the game's gonna be. like yeah, definitely took a turn I think from there, but they started strong, and it was at that point it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is why the Eagles have only lost one game.
Also, Dak's 3rd and 30 conversion. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God.
T.Y.
I
Hilton.
could not believe that. But, it is what it is. Division rivals are always hard. Like, that was a pretty fun game to watch, even though the Eagles lost. So,
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely agree. It's a good game for having on the background during some of the celebrations and stuff. All right, John. I don't think we can avoid it anymore.
What a gift. What a gift the Dolphins gave to their fans. We've sat around for 21 years since the last playoff victory as a fan of the Miami Dolphins team. We're excited about this organization. We said, you know what? Yeah, we lost 3 tough games, but we're going into Green Bay. Green Bay's coming into us. It was cold day on Christmas, which let's face it, we're Florida. We're not used to that. What a disappointment. The game starts off beautifully. Jalen Waddle, amazing. Tyreek Hill does some things. Tua looks absolutely just dominant. And as good as they played in the first half, they pulled a Bucks in the second half. Green Bay came back and wins it. And now the questions start to arise again. Now, the Dolphins can't, unfortunately, replace Tua easily, but Tua has a 2-game playoff from this point on. You now have people who have been huge fans of him questioning, is this the guy? Can he elevate this team? Well, next week you go to New England, and the week after that you Jets at home against the Jets. You win both those games during the playoffs, no questions asked. But then there was some news that came out on Monday with the Dolphins, and that is that Tua Tagovailoa is in concussion protocol. In the second half, there's a play where he gets tackled and his head hits the ground. At that point, he had a 75% completion percentage. He was throwing the ball as an average yard per attempt at 24 yards. He had 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. After that hit, he had a 50% completion percentage, 3 fourth-quarter interceptions, and did not play well. People are asking, did he get concussed on that hit? Is that what happened? I don't know. Guys got to stay healthy. You got to win games. I'm not. Defense played pretty well considering. I don't understand a quarterback that is the best quarterback against the blitz, and we blitzed the most times the quarterback has faced all year. I don't understand the defense, but the defense played okay. until they couldn't and didn't. Yeah. And to answer a question that popped up in chat, is the Dolphins the worst playoff team in the AFC? The answer to that is no, because the Titans and Jaguars are still in the running.
Hmm. Yeah, which have the same record as the Bucks, if that's saying anything.
However, let's face
Uh,
it, Jaguars are definitely more entertaining than the Bucks right now.
Entertaining for sure. Yeah. Potential wise, I don't know, but
I didn't
entertainment,
say
sure.
better.
um, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, everyone's talking about it, right? The hot and cold of the Dolphins, and it does it 100% feels that way. When they are good, they're good, and you get on the train, and then when they're bad, they're really bad, and it just makes no sense to me. Um, so you had kind of mentioned, you know, this being Tua's. You get 2 games to kind of prove yourself. I mean, right? We don't know if he's going to play next week, if he's entered the protocol. Is that how you feel? I know even you've been kind of hot and cold on Tua this season. Where are you right now on the spectrum?
I love Tua. I want to be very clear. I love Tua. I think he's a very fun quarterback to watch, and I'm rooting for the guy at the highest level. With that said, when the game was on the line, the season was on the line last year, he choked.
Hmm.
When the season's been on the line this year, the four biggest games of his career this year, he has played well in one of them. One and a half of them. I'll give him the first half against Green Bay. That's not enough. And also in that Bills game when he was needed most, he couldn't close the deal.
Hmm.
I have questions. I had questions entering the Baltimore game, as I so infamously said that he has 6 quarters to prove he's the guy, and then he did it. But he needs to prove that he's not a guy that can just be successful when the offense is successful.
Hmm.
He has to be able to look off the first read. He has to go through progressions. He has to elevate the players, and he has to win games.
I think that's what I'm kind of seeing with some of it. So, like you mentioned the Waddle throw, like I think that was the first touchdown they scored. But it was, 75, 80 yard touchdown essentially. Where are they without that touchdown? Do they drive down the field?
So,
He has two of the top receiving yards wide receivers in the league. What happens if he doesn't have those? What if he just put in Aaron Rodgers' shoes where he has a rookie wide receiver and that's it? Can he still be the same quarterback, or are the receivers are they keeping him on this pedestal for a little bit?
so with that throw in particular, one of the things that he does do a job better than most quarterbacks, maybe all quarterbacks, is that he puts the ball in places that allows his players to make great plays. If you look at that throw to Waddle, he has a corner coming at him, and he's able to get it over the blitzer in a perfect position for Waddle to be able to make that catch and then turn upfield. There is a breakdown. This is going back a few weeks of when Waddle was on the field, when Hill and Waddle are on the field, when just Hill's on the field, when just Waddle's on the field, and when neither are on the field. And yes, his numbers varied, but of course they're going to vary. Look at Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams, right? Look at Jalen Hurts without AJ Brown. Look at Ryan Tannehill without AJ Brown. It's very few guys that can come in and elevate with nobodies. I mean, Brady was always known as a guy that can take nobodies, right? Well, his best year was when he had Dante Stallworth, Randy Moss, and Wes Welker.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't act like quarterbacks don't need receivers. They do. So I'm not buying that argument. But what happens when they take away Hill and they take away Waddle? Can he elevate and make those plays? Can he make those off platform throws? Can he extend the plays enough to win a game? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
so if you had to point a finger at one individual, would you point it at Tua for the loss of Green Bay?
Yes, 3 picks.
Yeah.
The Mostert fumbled the ball. Mostert ran a wrong route that led to an interception. With that said, he still threw three fourth quarter picks. You cannot do that. And in the last one, he had a wide open Tyreek Hill underneath. Hit Tyreek Hill for a 15-yard gain. Don't force the ball to Gesicki, who's in double coverage on a high-low concept.
Fair enough. Well, we'll get into our outlook of our teams in the next couple weeks towards the end of the podcast. So we'll save that for now and move on to some headlines. I'd say a couple big ones. We'll start off with announcements we've heard this week. We talked about Bucks versus Arizona. J.J. Watt, I believe, announced he was retiring after the game. I'm kind of surprised. I kind of feel bad for him. He hasn't been on the best of teams throughout his career, but he's always been one of the top defensive players, most aggressive, most impactful throughout the game. And even this Bucks game, they were showing highlights of some of the stuff he was doing throughout the Bucks game, and he was basically single handedly stopping most of our run game and stuff like that. So sad to see him kind of retiring. I wish to have seen him on a better team, maybe seen what he could truly get done, but he was still one of the top defensive players outside of that. Anything you guys want to add to kind of hearing that announcement?
I was surprised. I mean, the dude's playing at a really high level, but he just had I believe, his first kid. His kid was there at the game. It kind of makes sense, but this dude was one of the greats. Played on teams that weren't necessarily that great, like you said, but still played unbelievable. I mean, just dominant, dominant, dominant. First ballot Hall of Famer. Great, great player, great talent, and maybe known as good as he was on the field, better guy off the field. When a couple of the hurricanes hit, he, you know, did charities and stuff and made sure that people were being taken care of. So,
Mm-hmm.
a great guy. Good job, JJ, and enjoy retirement.
Definitely agree on that. All right.
Only other thing that I want to add is that I think that we all I think you did touch on it, but if his career was different on another team, like one of these better teams, like Chiefs or Bills, like how well they would have done with him.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see for sure.
Good
Uh,
for him, though.
yeah, I mean, right? Can you blame him for wanting to retire
No,
at this
no,
age? But
no.
I want to retire.
I mean, there's a couple players that probably should have took the hint. I'm looking at you, number 12s.
yeah, maybe they'll all find the same piece at the same time. We'll see. Speaking of finding some peace, the the Broncos did not have a very peaceful outing last week, and the coach will be relinquished of his duties moving forward. Um, but yeah, the Broncos have decided that Hackett is no longer going to be head coach moving forward. They lost, what was it, 51-14 against the Rams. The Rams, who haven't been doing anything prior to this week.
Would you say that the Broncos just couldn't hack it?
Something like that. I mean, they weren't even close to hacking it. Russell looked. I don't even know what to say about it. Did you guys catch that game at all? Did you see? I wasn't watching it, but we had it on in the background. And every time I looked up, Wilson was throwing an interception.
I did not have the game on, but I can tell you that that game had zero interest to me whatsoever. And when I turned the game on and saw the score, I just chuckled.
Uh,
I didn't watch the game, but in this scenario, the score tells you everything that you need to know about that game.
Pretty much. I felt
Uh,
the yeah. Go ahead.
Baker Mayfield, though, like, I raising an eyebrow. Is this his team? Like, are we like tipping our hat to Baker Mayfield now? Like,
I'm I'm holding off because I feel like every time Mayfield moves to a different team, everyone says this, where it's like, oh look, he's back. This is what we wanted to see him do, and then once he gets into the system, it goes right back to Baker Mayfield. So we'll see.
that's true. Yeah.
He put up 51 points, but keep in mind he only threw for 230 yards and two touchdowns.
Yeah.
Let's not crown the guy because his team put 51 up against the Broncos, who lost so much composure that there was a fight after the game, and then there was a fight amongst teammates during the game. I mean, come on.
Yeah. The only other storyline for this, and something that hurts me, having this picking this guy in my draft fantasy football, Akers. Just a little stat for you guys. From weeks 1 to 12, he was the number 67 running back. From weeks 13 to 16, he's the number 4 running back. How? What's the change?
Well, remember there was a time where they tried to trade him. They asked him to stay away from the team,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going to cut him at one point. So, of course, he would have 118 yards and three touchdowns this week.
Yeah, right? Of course. Everyone saw that coming.
So I know we're going to get into it, especially at the after the year, and we don't want to get too far ahead. But Denver is absolutely locked to Russell Wilson, who's having his career worst year
Mm-hmm.
by far ever.
Yep.
If you're a head coach or a head coach candidate, I should say, do you look at this team as a team that you would want to go to?
I mean, can you not use some of what Seattle did with Russell to try and get back some of his? I guess there's a blueprint, right? Russell Wilson has been good. Is it the system? Is it the coach? Is it him? I don't know if we can really answer that. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's been terrible, right? I don't. If you're a head coach, that's the first thing. If you go into that interview, that's gonna be the first thing they're gonna ask you. What are you doing about Russell Wilson? How are you gonna approach him? Because that's the biggest question mark right now.
So there's a lot of rumors circling that they hired Hackett so that they could trade for Aaron Rodgers. And that would have been a perfect system fit.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson obviously did not fit the system, but they went and pulled Russell Wilson thinking that he could be that guy.
Yeah.
So do they now go and basically say, look, we're going to hire his old offensive coordinators or old defensive coordinators, maybe Dan Quinn or was it an offensive coordinator he had in Seattle, and be able to pick their brains and bring them on to be the coach. I don't know what you do. I don't know where you go. This team's a mess.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure anyone can answer that right now. But if you look at the way he's playing, it's going to be a tough sell for someone that hasn't worked with him before.
Is it
I Go
that
ahead.
he needed more time to cook? Like, I mean, he just got dropped in there. I mean, Seattle built around him, and they didn't really do that yet with the Broncos. So, I mean, maybe adding more key players around him, but with what picks, right? Like,
And what money? They have nothing.
right, that's true.
And I know this is all off season talk, so I don't want to like keep
Yeah,
asking questions about it, but so we'll kind of move on. Just that they do have pieces around them. I mean, they have Jerry Judy, they have Cortland Sutton, they have that second year running back. I can't think of his name
that's
right
true.
now,
He's been injured this season, so
and they have a top five defense. So
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but I think there's a lot of people to kind of sum it up, as you said. Let's move on, maybe, but to sum it up, they have the pieces, and we thought they'd be a good team. Clearly, something wasn't a fit, and I guess they feel, or at least the easiest change was the head coach. So we'll see moving forward what that looks like. Uh, we'll jump into some surprising storylines for the week. Um, I guess we can start out with some losses, maybe, that were head scratchers for me. Um, let's see. I'll give John. You guys talked about the Dolphins earlier. I'll give you your pick. Would you rather talk about Texans against Titans or Panthers against Lions?
Give me that Panthers Lions game.
All right.
100%.
So going into this, I mean, Lions seem had to have the momentum. They've had some really good games against really good opponents, not necessarily winning them, but they've played well. Then they go into this game against a Panthers team that's a little more beat down this season. And I won't even say this is a close game. They lost by 2 touchdowns. And those touchdowns those points were earlier in the game by Panthers. What happened to the Lions in this game?
This, just like Miami had their meltdown, Detroit did what the worst thing they could do. They gave their fans hope, and then they took away that hope. All they had to do was beat the Panthers. And what did the Panthers do? They fired their coach and traded their best player, and that was it. The Panthers were giving up. They were on their way to the first or second round pick. It was terrible. Goodbye. Blah blah blah. Well, Detroit just went into a hornet's nest there, and they got stung. I, I I was absolutely shocked by this. I mean, I thought Detroit would come out. I thought Detroit would put 37, but no, they came out sluggish. The Panthers beat up on them. Foreman had 165 yards. Sam Darnold kind of looks good. I mean, much better than that Wilson guy from New York that they traded. You know, and look, the Panthers control their own destiny. When you fire your coach, trade your best player, playoffs are not something you talk about. They now control their destiny just like the Detroit Lions did.
I I still don't know where the Panthers are coming from, but I mean that's the only thing I can point to as well is the last. I think Darnold came back last week or the week before, and since then they've been playing decent. Um, yeah, a totally surprising storyline there. I did not expect the Lions to come out and kind of get a flat tire like they did, but it is the NFL.
It goes to show you how bad of a head coach Matt Rule was.
I guess that's maybe a point of it too. Maybe the same thing with Hackett and the Broncos. We'll see. All right. Well, Gannon, that leaves you with the Titans here. Titans started the season looking decent. I mean, they got King Henry, which is kind of carrying them every week. Maybe that's part of this. Um, but they lost to a team that I believe, yeah,
Two win. Oh, one win
yeah, they had
actually
one
going into
win
that game.
heading into last week.
Yeah.
And the Titans lose. And the Titans are in a division race right now to see who goes to the playoffs. And they're losing to the Texans.
5 game losing streak by the Texans. Well, 4 at the time, but still, I division rival, but it's the Texans at the same time. I think that Derrick Henry was hurt. I'm pretty sure
No,
I mean,
at
he
some point in
played.
that game. Did he?
yeah, he had 126 yards and a touchdown.
Okay. Well, uh, he was questionable in the
Well,
fantasy league, so I was like, thought he was
Tannehill
hurt.
was hurt.
Tannehill was hurt.
That is true.
Okay.
They had Willis starting for him, which didn't help.
Probably didn't help. I mean, surprising loss on paper, yes, because a 7-8 team, a 7-7 team against a 1-win team. That's like if you were to bet on those two teams, you probably wouldn't bet with the Texans there. But yeah, I mean, shocking, yes. Surprising, looking at their record and how many losses they got, not really.
Yeah, it was one of those, like you said, when you kind of dig into it, it makes a little more sense. But when you just look at it at face value, there's no way you feel like Titans are going to
Boy.
drop this one. Um, but yeah, I didn't know they were on a 5 game losing streak. But yeah, the Titans have lost 5 in a row now. So,
Yeah. And I actually didn't know Tannehill didn't even play. So like that shocked me, but
hmm,
yeah.
One thing about that game though, it really didn't matter. All the Titans have to do is win their Week 18 matchup
hmm,
against the Jaguars, and they're in the playoffs.
yep.
So the next 2 weeks, I mean, it mattered, but not really.
I feel like this division in particular, it's this division and then the um the LA division with Chargers, Raiders. Those two divisions always come down to the last week of who's in, who's out, what's going to happen. And last year it was the Jaguars knocking the Colts out, right? And then this year it's going back to the same thing. Last week, who's going to be in? Right now, Jags and Titans are tied, so
But
it'll be interesting last week.
Jags are on a 3-win streak and they play the Titans at home. So, or they
Mm-hmm.
Titans play Jags at home. Sorry.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. It's not looking good for the Titans there. So, almost said Texans.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be that I'm more excited about watching that than I am Bucks and Carolina. So we'll have to see.
I'm holding out hope for your Jags.
I guess on the other spectrum here, we have two teams that are continuing their hot streaks. Bengals and 49ers both won this week again. Um, I mean, I don't think there's much else to say there besides both teams are looking pretty decent.
The only thing you need to say about the Bengals is Mac Jones is a dirty player, and after throwing an interception, tried to take out Eli Apple's kneecaps.
Hmm.
If I'm a defensive player, I'm taking note. And Mac Jones is not walking anymore after that game. That was atrocious. The NFL needs to seriously look into it. This is there was a montage of his dirty hits, a slide going up towards the groin, a slide leg kick trying to take out a defender. The twisting of the ankle on a
Hmm.
fumble in his rookie year. This is a dirty player league. You care about your players? Suspend this guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't the first time we've had this exact conversation, so it's getting pretty obvious at a certain point.
I mean, he's got a coach that pushes the boundaries.
Hmm. Yeah, that doesn't help. Uh, all right, the one of the last times I had here, did you guys catch the Vikings game this week, or at least the end of the Vikings game?
I watched 3/4 of it, 4/5 of it, and then I may have taken a nap at some point and woke up to how it ended.
Yeah, that was an insane ending. Um,
I did, but I forgot how it ended. I just know that I was really mad that Giants couldn't pull it out. They were so close.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think at least I was kind of rooting for the Giants heading into that ending there. And let me see if they real quick. I know the Giants is scored with very little left on the clock. Trying to figure out exactly. Yeah, so they scored about 2 minutes left. They went for a 2 point conversion because they were down by two. They scored that, tied up the game, and then again the Vikings were able to go down the field um, relatively easily. I guess. I mean, when you have Jefferson, I guess that's tough to say that it was easy. I mean, he's their go-to. But yeah, they go down. I believe it was a like a 61-yard field goal
61-yard
in
field goal.
freezing temperatures and everything else.
The Vikings are kind of known
Okay.
for kickers attempting long field goals in clutch situations.
Double doink. Can't remember. Can't forget the double doink.
Mm-hmm. Um, so yeah, I mean, not much else to say besides Vikings. This is I you probably can't even count on two hands the number of games they've won by single digits and single scores.
Pretty
Uh,
sure you can. I believe it's 12.
so yeah, I mean,
They are the worst. What is it? 11 wins?
12.
11 win.
I just said they had 12, all right?
12.
Follow
Okay.
along, man.
Right. Sorry. They are the worst 12-win team I've ever seen.
So DVOA, a advanced metric, has them at -9 as a 12-3 team. To give you an idea, the worst 12-3 team ever up until this year was 9.03, and they are -9.03.
Ugh.
uh,
With that said, I'm a big Vikings fan next week.
No, I am not. No. Because if the Vikings lose, number one seed goes to Philadelphia.
We'll explain why later.
all right. That wraps up everything I had for last week. Um, don't really want to talk again about the Raiders blowing the lead and letting the Steelers come back to win. That seems to be a storyline every week. Anything else you guys have before we move on to the upcoming week? All right.
Not really.
Well, John, we saved you for last. I'll let you go first and get it out of the way. And then you can, walk off, go get a glass of water, whatever you need. Heading into this week, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it because you get a chance for redemption. You're playing maybe the most heated rivalry in the division, or at least for yourself, maybe personal rivalry. But you're coming off a little bit of a downturn. How do you feel heading into the Patriots game?
This is Patriots week. And for many years, this was the Dolphins Super Bowl, a chance to hurt the New England Cheaters. Now, normally it's in Miami when this occurs, but this is in Foxborough. Patriots fans are excited because they have a chance to knock the Dolphins out of the playoffs. They don't even view their team as a playoff caliber team. Mac Jones is garbage. He's a garbage quarterback and a garbage person who should be suspended. This is an offense that is atrocious and a defense that is good but not great. If Tua plays, I think Miami wins comfortably. If Teddy Bridgewater plays and doesn't get hurt or doesn't get called for a concussion because he gets up a slightly slow on the first hit of the game, like the Jets, Miami wins this game. And it comes down to quarterback play. The Patriots cannot win a game again where they throw the ball 3 times, an incompletion, a near pick six, and a completion for like 3 yards. That's not going to happen. They're going to need Mac Jones. I don't believe in them. Miami breaks their losing streak, gets their games back. And remember, you said it earlier, Miami's a hot and cold team, right? They've been cold. This is going to be their warm game. Next week, slightly warmer. And then they got 4 games. Boom. Super Bowl.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think if there was a team to bounce back against and a time to bounce back, pretty good time to do it. Um, they are not the favorites though heading into this game, so
They were until the Tua news came out.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So, good luck. We'll see how it goes. Um, Next week for us is pretty much do or die week as a Buccaneers fan. We are playing the Panthers. That's any I mean, I say this with the Saints too. Falcons not so much, but pretty much any division game is like it's just field goals usually. Um, so I don't know what's going on with the Buccaneers heading into this game. Fournette, like I said, is kind of may or may not be injured. I guess we'll hear more as the week goes on. If that gets added to the injury report, or we get a status update on what that was all about. Um, Panthers are kind of hot heading into it, I'd say. They've been winning games they maybe shouldn't have, or playing a little better than they should have. The Bucks cannot for the life of them get things rolling until the last like 2 minutes of any game. Um, and I feel like if we, there's going to be a time where we can't come back. There's going to be a game where we're too far behind and can't come back. Um, and this is a game we need, so we can't afford to just hopefully do 4 minute drill like every other game. So we'll see. I think we have the pieces. Some of our teams coming back. Wirfs was playing again last week. He's decent, looking like he's getting back into it. Godwin's starting to get back into it. I know he's been back for a while, but he hasn't really looked the same as he did the previous season. Um, Brady looked a little off this week. So, again, there seems to be something outside of football going on with the team. But hopefully we pull it all together. I guess we'll find out this weekend. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for that game. We didn't throw. Gannon, your Eagles are playing our Saints this week. What does that look like to you?
I said it against the Bears, how it's going to be an easy game. So I don't want to jinx it, but I kind of feel like it's going to be an easy game, even without Hurts, even though Hurts is, they're juggling whether he's going to play or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need him. It should be an easy win. It's at Philadelphia. Like the pieces are there. Um, I know that Lane Johnson's out, it's gonna hurt. But then again, it's the Saints. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is an easy one for the Eagles. Uh, if Minshew played half as good as he played Dallas, I think that we're gotta win there. So minus the picks, obviously. But
Yeah,
and
the
with an Eagles win, that bumps them up a peg in the draft, and Eagles have that number one pick.
that is an
So
interesting factor of it. Yeah, I think. I mean, the Saints are coming off a win against the Browns, a win against the Falcons. Um, yeah, I don't see him being much of a struggle for the Eagles, especially if the Eagles are firing on all cylinders.
yeah, I, it's Minshew, and you know what can go wrong will go wrong. But let's hope we just squeeze out a win, get that number one seed, take it easy for the last or week 18, right? Rest some players, get that bye. Yeah.
I don't like rest. I think for Eagles' sake, they should lose this game. And I say that, and you don't want to have your players being rested for 2 weeks and then expected to come out in a playoff game. How many times have we seen a one seed lock up early and then they become a first game loss? As soon as they get off that bye week, they have a letdown.
But on the flip side of that coin is you start Hurts, he ain't ready, he gets more hurt, and then we lose star quarterback got us there, right? Or you play a key starter and they get hurt before the playoffs.
I understand what you're saying, and obviously that's why they do it. But I just think in terms of you get a lot of momentum, you're fine tuned, everyone's playing at a high level. You take a break off of that, and everyone just isn't quite as crisp.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. That little bit of rust shows, and you can get away with rust when you play against the New Orleans Saints. You can have a little rust when you play the whatever. When you play a good team, a playoff team, that rust hurts. But that's still a couple weeks away. I mean, we first thing you want to do is lock up your seeding and see what happens. They may not rest players.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't. I'd say as long as they're cleared to play, they probably should head into the playoffs. But
Or at least
just for
first
free.
half. Let's like play half the game and then sit them.
Uh,
They're at least playing some. But like it's scary to me having all those weapons out there and knowing that a couple key injuries could hinder your season greatly, right? So like you get there, win it all, you get the number one seed, and now you're banged up.
it's like a preseason game. All right. Well, I think we've gone through the upcoming games. I think. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say I think Miami has the challenging game, but Bucks I think maybe have the most challenging game this week. Um, John, you look like you're just dying to say something.
Well, I was gonna say there's some really good games from other teams
Yeah.
that have serious playoff implications.
Hmm. Yeah,
I don't know
like
if were you planning on discussing those or
yeah, definitely. You mean like the
okay.
Broncos Chiefs game?
Broncos Chiefs
Yeah.
major
Yeah.
implications. The Monday night game is garbage. I wouldn't even bother watching Cincinnati Bengals versus the Buffalo Bills for a battle of the one seed.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. Um, yeah, I think. Well, you mentioned one of the games I kind of wanted to watch, Vikings Packers. I think. Well, it'll be a good game, and I think it's one of the ones that um, Packers really want to win, especially against the way the Vikings record and the way they've been playing. Um, let's see.
I mean, Green Bay. So for the Green Bay Packers to make the playoffs, they have to win the next two games. If they lose this game against the Vikings, they are eliminated. Now, you remember me earlier saying that I'm a big Vikings fan this week? It's very simple. When their corner, who by the way got absolutely roasted by Jalen Waddle, that's all I'm going to say right there. As he's leaving the Dolphin Stadium, he decides to do the waddle. He waddles out of there. Yeah, go ahead, say your goodbyes. You're going to get eliminated at home against your rival, the Minnesota Vikings. This is going to be beautiful. Aaron Rodgers, last time in Lambeau Field with a loss. Goodbye. Next year, he's going to be on a different team winning a Super Bowl. Prediction.
Do they win by 1, 2, or 3 points?
17. No, you're right. They win by 2 points in some really weird way. It
Sounds
could
about
be
right.
that they Packers are going to go for a kneel down and the ball squirts out behind it. The defense picks it up and scores. I don't know how. They're going to win by two in a weird way. Weird way.
They can't keep getting away with this. Okay.
Eli Manning won a Super Bowl this way. Come on, Kirk. Prove me wrong, Kirk Cousins. Show me that you're a Super Bowl caliber quarterback and beat Aaron Rodgers.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do that first week of the playoffs. The teams that no one's given that attention to, and see who we think's gonna go the furthest, and especially beginning
Oh
of the year.
man.
Like, look at some of the teams that are about to make the playoffs and where we put them in their divisions at the beginning of the year. It's been a crazy year.
I still stand by that the Giants have to be 15-2 for me to take them serious.
I would still agree with this.
The
Yeah,
Jets still aren't going to win another game.
yeah. Giants have not had a fun second half to the season. That's for sure.
But they're in the playoffs.
I mean, yeah. Well, like, let's. Since their bye week, they only have 2 wins.
Miami's on a 4-game losing streak. They're going to make the playoffs. It don't matter. Get to the playoffs, anything's possible.
That's true. That's all that matters, right? All right.
On a 9-game win streak last year and didn't make the playoffs. So you're gonna be a 6-game losing streak, not gonna make it again.
Yeah, I feel I don't know. The whole season's been building up to this point for the Bucks, and even though I've been saying the whole season they don't deserve to go to the playoffs, I'll still be a little sad if we don't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, but it's not warranted though. It's like you play so bad. It's like, do we root for your own team? Like you're there. Like last year, the Eagles, right? Like they probably shouldn't have been there. It was the
Yeah,
NFC least. Like just get blown out. Like I would have rather have not made the playoffs as like if I just kick them out,
it's
But
true.
prepare
hold
for next year.
Here's the thing, though. If the Bucks beat the Panthers and make the playoffs, they face Dallas. Dallas is going to
Uh,
choke. There's a good chance the Bucks with a losing record advance in the playoffs.
I hope that happens now. Now I'm rooting for the Bucks. I need you
Or
to go in there and beat Dallas.
the Carolina Panthers can beat Dallas.
Now that would be a headline.
That would be funny.
And by the way, more likely than not, Kansas City is going to end up with the 2 seed versus in the 7 seed. And I'm just going to say that if Tyreek Hill versus Patrick Mahomes, that would be fun. Mahomes going to have 200 yards passing, but Tyreek Hill have 350 total yards. Miami's going to win 45-10, something like that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that homecoming, see that matchup.
That would be fun. Miami just has to make the playoffs now.
Hope they
And it
do.
can, and if Seattle can beat the Jets, it makes Miami one step closer.
I know. I think that's one team that has. I mean, well, so they had a surprising beginning of the season, and then they've just completely dropped off with Seattle. And I couldn't even tell you where they are. I'm looking them up right now because they've been off my radar since the bye week. Really, they have in their last one, two, three, four, last 6 games they only have one win. Granted, it's been against decent teams: Kansas City, San Francisco, but they also played the Rams. They also played the Raiders. They played the Bucks.
Their quarterback is no longer lighting it up.
No,
They kind of got figured out a little bit.
I think that's probably what it is.
And the Jets, though, they get Mike White back. Zach Wilson is, I mean, they're publicly saying he's part of our long-term future. He's our guy. And he went from starter to third string, back to backup, back to starter, now back to third string. Mike White's the guy. Flacco's backing him up. They put somebody else who, have you guys ever heard of, replace Wilson? I mean, Jets are a mess. So go Seattle.
Yeah, I don't think you can go back to Wilson after last week. I think that was kind of the last. We we benched you because White was playing well. You have another chance. Didn't blow us away with that performance.
No, he's over the last 2 years, he has the worst completion percentage. I believe last year it was 56%, and this year it's 55.5%, something like that. I mean, this is uh Jamarcus Russell type bombshell. This is who's the guy drafted right after Ryan Leaf. I mean, this is Ryan Leaf level bust. It's wonderful to see happen in your division. The lowly Jets, who, Kevin, if you're watching this, I want to apologize to you. Uh, like the Jets are so bad and have been so bad for so long. Like they're the little brother of the Dolphins. We just kind of we're a miserable fan base. We look at them, we're like, you're even worse than we are. You have the butt fumble.
Yeah, if you guys need to buy anyone a drink, it's probably those fans.
And Detroit fans.
I was gonna say. I was gonna
Detroit,
say.
Miami, New York Jets just lump. Of course, Buffalo has the history of making it to the big game. They're the only franchise ever to make it to 4 straight Super Bowls with 4 straight Super Bowl losses.
wait till Brady leaves to be good.
Mm.
Okay.
All right, I think we're rounding out here. We'll give you guys some last words. Jump in for the final say of the evening. Uh, Nothing from my side. I've got to host, so I got to kind of go through my things anyways. But Gannon, I'll throw it to you first. Last word.
Hope everybody had a good Christmas. It was cold here, and so I almost didn't make it. It was like not make it like I made it, I'm alive, but frosty conditions. Like it froze over Friday night, and then Saturday it started raining, so everything was super slick, but it was still cold enough for that ice to stick around, and that's the slipperiest I've ever seen it outside.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure me and John almost died this week. Like the heater didn't even couldn't even keep up with the 30-degree weather we had to deal with.
Do you even have heated blankets over there? Probably not. Should I send you guys one? Because,
Uh,
like,
Hold on. We have heated blankets. They just get taken out and used when it hits 50s versus minus 50s, okay? It was 32 degrees at my house. I got my plants inside so that they didn't freeze over. Like
Mhm.
Florida's not built for this.
freezing temperature is 30 degrees, so I don't think you guys are freezing.
Dude, I had to Google, should I be worried about my pipes freezing? And then I had to Google, what do I do to prevent my pipes from freezing?
The little trick is to keep your water running just a little bit, just drips,
All right.
not 32 degrees.
John,
Close enough.
John, any last words from your side?
I was sick on Thanksgiving. I was sick on Christmas.
Nah.
Let's start the year off strong and let's not be sick on the New Year's.
Fair enough. Good luck. Good luck with that. Maybe like quarantine. You work from home. Just quarantine yourself. Like stay in a little bubble for a while.
I feel like I'm immune at this point. Like, bring it on. I've been I've been dealing with. I got sick last week. I was on the injury report last week and I was here. I'm on the injury report still today and I'm here. All right, this is dedication. Dolphins, pay attention. Dedicate.
Yeah.
Win that game next week.
Yep.
Uh,
You'll get a concussion, we'll still play you.
You know it.
uh, Fair enough. So yeah, appreciate everyone joining for this week. I think it's shaping up to be an exciting year heading into the playoffs. So we're excited to continue covering some of what's going on, work our way into the playoffs. It's going to be some exciting games from there on out. So thanks for tuning in. We're live every Tuesday. Um, Join us here. Join us on YouTube if you can't make the live streams. Feel free to chat throughout the way. But appreciate everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.